Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the PC Boys Podcast. I am your host, Logan Locke. It has been quite some time since a podcast episode has gone up. I think the last time we did an episode was back when I did my 28 Years Later review. So it has been a hot minute, but quite a bit has gone on in the, Marvel news area, as well as me seeing Superman. So I'll be touching upon my Superman review. It's going to be relatively brief, but it's mainly going to be that and, of course, Spider-Man 4 and Avengers Doomsday, because we have a lot to cover in terms of those things. But before we get started, as per usual, link trees in the description down below. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter. And, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps us out a lot. And for those of you that have paid attention to my Twitter in the past, month or so, I started a new YouTube channel called Spider-Man Reacts. It is a PC Boys, production. And it's essentially just Spider-Man reacting to things obviously in character. And I figured I would do something fun because I like to cosplay, but I don't cosplay super often. So I figured a way that I could put those to use is just by playing Spider-Man and reacting to cringe videos online in character. So I just figured it'd be something a little fun to do on the side. When it comes to the main podcast here, obviously I don't do videos or podcasts as often as I used to. Like back in the day, I would have podcasts coming out quite a bit, especially when we were just audio only back when I was in high school. But I have 2 jobs now, so the time to sit down and do a podcast is less and less, because on my days off, right, if I want to go fishing or I want to go hang with friends and stuff like that, that would cut into podcast/editing time. And I just don't have the time to do it as often. So the only time I really plan on doing podcasts going forward is if I have like a major movie review and I want to cover that, or if there's some major news on a film that I'm excited about. Because this isn't my job, it's difficult for me to sit down and do it all the time, right? I want to, but I don't have the time to. And it's hard to keep up with all these news updates. I mean, there's plenty of great podcasts and, Marvel updates, comic book updates kind of channels out there. 3C Films, Comic Book Cast 2, there's plenty out there. And it is their job, to do those things. So they're on top of it all the time. But if you just want like my unique takes on things, theorizing and stuff like that, then, please do stick around. But definitely the main podcast has been kind of dead on my end of creating content. It's just, like I said, very difficult. But with the Spider-Man Reacts channel, I'm going to be putting a lot of effort into that channel. So going forward, if you want, to see me doing something YouTube related, it's mainly going to be on that channel. So do go support that. And that channel link is in my link tree, so it's easy to find. Or of course you can find my posts on X. But without further ado, let's get into the actual video. So first of all, I want to do my Superman review. As a non-DC fan, or really even Superman fan, I thought the movie was pretty good. Obviously the movie drops you in an established DC universe with superheroes and stuff, so it's not an origin story, and you're essentially, seeing Superman struggling, if you will, with his Superman life balance in a way, but you're also seeing a different Superman than I guess you did in like the Snyderverse and stuff. He gets the shit kicked out of him a lot in the movie, to be very blunt. But it's a very more humanizing story. And there was a lot of people talking about like, oh, the movie's very woke and stuff. It's not. I don't know why James Gunn, when it made comments in the promoting cycle of the movie, being like, oh yeah, this movie's really political. It's like, no, it's not. It's really not that political. It's just a decently made movie. I would give it probably like a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good start for the DCU for sure, and I'm glad it's doing well at the box office, because if DC does well, it makes Marvel better at their game. It was a good film. I'm not going to do like a play-by-play breakdown. This movie wasn't The Batman. The Batman is an exception because it's a DC movie that I really liked. Like, The Batman, I consider like an 8 or 9 out of 10. It's just a long movie, so rewatching it is pretty hard for me. But overall, Superman was a really good film. But let's talk about the main thing that we're here for, Spider-Man 4, and a little bit of Avengers Doomsday. So for those of you that are not in the loop, Spider-Man 4, or Spider-Man Brand New Day, is the next Marvel Studios film. And that means all eyes are on it, okay? And they are going to be starting actual shooting soon. They're just set dressing and stuff like that right now in Glasgow. And there was this theory floating around online for a little while that this was going to be like a Spider-Man Far From Home 2.0. And I was like, there's no way they're going to be doing that, right? And then, of course, we had San Diego Comic-Con. Fantastic Four had its, publicity and, media promotion train going on. And Kevin Feige confirmed 2 things about Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is great news, by the way. It's ground level, and the Punisher is 100% confirmed, which, I mean, we knew it was pretty much confirmed, but this is coming from the man himself. So it's like a confirm. So, pretty solid. And ultimately, those 2 pieces of information are great. But now we're getting some leaked things, and it's very exciting news. And it also confirms some leaks/rumors that we've been hearing for a little while as well. So for those of you that don't know, there is this board of like comic book panels and stuff that they are planning to incorporate into the movie, right? Essentially giving you like the vibe of what they're going for in this movie. Now, these are the panels that we're seeing, okay? Now, there is a picture, hold on, let me back out of this, up here, which confirms the tarantula one here, and the boomerang one here, which also includes Venom. All these other ones here, we don't know. But let's talk about this as basically confirming all this. And let me explain why I would like to put my reputation on the line and saying pretty much everything you see on screen here is true. And I don't have any inside sources. I'm just, I die-hardingly believe this. Okay. So, let's start with the first 2 images that were in that post, which was from Daniel Cretton's assistant. She posted it on IG. I went to check the account, and it's gone now. So, Sniper Kevin Feige's out there doing literally this Punisher. Oh, shoot. Not this one. Doing this Punisher thing of like, yeah, you better take that down. So, we have this comic panel. And we have this comic panel, which confirms Tarantula, and it confirms Boomerang. Now, these 2 characters are probably going to be, like, very small characters that Spider-Man takes out as Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But look in the corner. Venom is on that. Now, I think that this is more of a tease, not at Venom directly himself, but the black suit. We know Secret Wars is going to be the 3rd upcoming film. Because if you think about the next 3 films that we're getting, it's Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars. So, building up to Venom is like more of a post-Secret Wars kind of thing, unless they're going to throw Tom Hardy's in there as like a multiverse thing. But I think that this is more of a tease towards the black suit coming, maybe introduced at the very end of Brand New Day, and then going into the next few Avengers films. But I don't think it's actually alluding to Venom himself. But with these being on Destin Daniel Cretton's wall of like what they're going for with this movie, Tarantula and Boomerang were rumored characters for a while, and his assistant having this on the wall basically confirms that these 2 characters in the movie. Now, the Punisher. We already have this confirmed. Like I said, Kevin Feige, the trades confirmed it a little while back, but Kevin Feige 100% confirmed this the other day. And so we know that we're getting the Punisher, which very much proves everything here right, okay? The Hulk. Another big major rumor that isn't 100% confirmed by Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, or anything, is the Hulk's going to be in this, in this movie. And I would bet that this would be the case. Now, if Mr. Negative is the main villain, which it's said to be going that direction, Hulk being discolored into more like the Joe Fix-It kind of Hulk makes a lot of sense. And they could actually narratively make that work. Scorpion, another major character that we've had built up since Homecoming, haven't touched him at all. And there's a lot of talk about Scorpion being in the movie. And I have no doubt about that. Tombstone. I think Tombstone will have a part in this movie, but I don't think he's going to be a big part. Now, if we're going to ground level Spider-Man fighting against like mob bosses and stuff, makes sense. Now, if you want my opinion, I think Tombstone will be involved with like Martin Lee and like the gang side of things, but I don't think he's going to be like a super big villain. The Shocker, probably yet again like another one of those like one-trick pony kind of villains. Black Cat. The reason I think that this is going to work, I'm putting my money on this, I think Sadie Sink is playing Black Cat. I think that is who Sadie Sink will be playing. I don't think it will be Mary Jane of the multiverse. I don't think that at all. I don't think that she's going to be playing a Jean Grey. I think Kevin Feige is saving the X-Men 100% for post-Secret Wars reboot. It would make no sense for them to introduce Jean Grey and Spider-Man when they already said post-Secret Wars we're focusing on the X-Men Fantastic Four. It would make no sense to introduce Jean Grey prior to that reboot. Because once you do that reboot, they're going to integrate. It's not like a hard reboot, it's like a soft reboot, but they're going to integrate the X-Men into like the MCU lore, as if they've always existed. So it would make sense to introduce Jean Grey and all of them at that point, not early on. So I think Sadie Sink's going to be playing Black Cat. Who else is she going to play? Like ever since they announced her casting, I've been like, who is she going to play in this film? And I think it's going to be Black Cat. 100%. And there's been talk of there being Silver Samurai in this, which I find to be interesting. I don't know why and how we're going to have Silver Samurai in here. But I believe one of the shooting locations is in Japan. Or at least an Asian country, so they'll probably have him in there briefly. If you want me to think or say the major parts of the movie, Punisher, Scorpion, obviously Mr. Negative, Hulk probably towards the end, and Black Cat. I would say those, like and of course maybe Venom there at the end, but if I'm going to say major panels, major piece, major piece. I think these other things are going to be more like side quest kind of things. I don't think they're going to be like major story beats. And like I said, Punisher's been confirmed. Boomerang, there's been rumors about. Tarantula has been rumors about. And when you have the Venom piece up here leading towards Secret Wars, Black Suit kind of makes sense. So having all these pieces together make a lot of sense to me. And then, of course, all the Hulk rumors. And the fact that all of these Spider-Man comic panels are basically teasing all these different things and being confirmed, at least this major part being confirmed, it makes me think that there's a credibility in all of these different ones. Now, what's interesting and that's not here is there is no Mr. Negative on any of these panels. But we know that they were looking for like a middle-aged Asian man, which would make sense if you're going for Mr. Negative. Unless that's going to be Silver Samurai. Could be Silver Samurai too. Don't want to rule that out. But yeah, I wanted to include both of these images because, like I said, you got the Boomerang, you got the Tarantula, and they're incorporated right here. We know Punisher's in it. And basically looking at all three of these images of confirmations, I would say, it gives credibility to all these other panels, which gets me so excited. Especially Black Cat. Listen, I have been praying for a Black Cat adaptation. It is actually a crime that we have, 8 Spider-Man live-action movies, and the only Black Cat we've received on film is Felicity Jones as Felicia Hardy, but she's just an assistant. That looks nothing like Black Cat. So, yeah. This is a big deal. This movie could very well be a big deal. Now, Armin from Comic Book Cast 2, he was saying that he thinks the Punisher will end up getting like an Iron Man-esque kind of suit to combat like the Hulk and this other stuff, which, would be pretty cool. Makes sense to me. We, of course, have pictures down here of them starting to shoot in Glasgow, which, like I said, all their props and everything are basically put there to look like it's from New York because they're set dressing it. For instance, Glasgow was also set dressed as Philadelphia for World War Z, for those of you that don't know. And this is a very common thing in Hollywood where they will go to other cities where it's cheaper to shoot and they will just do set dressing to make it look like the place that they're trying to set the movie in. So this is not any crazy, like, new kind of thing for Hollywood. It's something they do all the time. Back when they were doing Infinity War and Endgame and stuff, they used Atlanta for New York and did set dressing, like that scene where they're fighting Ebony Maw and oh gosh, what's his name? Is the big guy. How did I forget? You got Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, Ebony Maw, and gosh darn it. Wasn't it like the White Dwarf or something like that? Hold on. Now I need to know. I think it was something like that. I didn't mean to put the thread. I didn't mean to put the thread. Of course, toys. Yes. Cole Obsidian. My bad. I'm retarded. Sorry, guys. Okay. I don't know why his name slipped my mind, but okay, Cole Obsidian. But yeah, so those scenes were done in Atlanta, but they set dressed it to look like, of course, New York. Obviously, adding in like, you know, green screen, blue screen type of stuff. So with all, like, if we're just gonna take all these as like 100% confirmation, small villain. Very minuscule part. Same thing with Boomerang. The tease for Venom, aka the black suit, because we're getting close to Secret Wars and stuff. Scorpion, I think, is a given. I mean, if you don't use Scorpion at this point, it makes no sense. The Hulk, a lot of rumors, probably like endgame boss of the movie type of thing. Tombstone is probably only in here because, of course, Martin Lee, the gangs, you know, maybe gang war activity going on. Shocker, like I said, probably another minor throwaway thing. I think Sadie Sink and Black Cat, and it kind of having Peter and her have like this touch and go romance throughout the whole thing, because that's kind of how the dynamic has always been. You know, makes a lot of sense to me. The Silver Samurai thing makes a lot of sense to me as well, because, like I said, they are shooting a little bit in Japan. So there is stuff here that makes sense. Now, if you want my opinion, I think Silver Samurai is going to have a direct connection to Mr. Negative, and maybe Tombstone. I think all the Japan stuff is going to be like gang, Mr. Negative backstory kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be anything taking away from New York or anything like that. Those are my major theories. But like I said, basically, these 3 panels are confirmed stuff. Like I said, the assistant of the director of the movie having these 2 on the wall, and then confirming Punishers in the movie with this says a lot. And there's also someone that did a Pinterest board that's working on the movie that had Hulk panel covers with Spider-Man. So that's even more confirmation. Like, at this point, we're finally getting concrete information on the movie. Now, the question is, though, how much of a role does Scorpion have? Does the Hulk have? Does Tombstone have? Right? Frank, Black Cat, Silver Samurai, Shocker. That's kind of the major thing. Now, since we know this is a ground-level Spider-Man movie, if you wanted me to guess, Tarantula, Boomerang, Shocker, Silver Samurai, probably small parts. Hulk, I think, is going to be like at the very end kind of thing. Tombstone, I don't think is going to be a super big villain. I think he'll be there for like the Mr. Negative, you know, gang warfare stuff, like I said, and they might save him for future movies with Kingpin, maybe even for Daredevil or something like that, tie it in. Black Cat, I think, will be a significant role, more like a partner role with Peter Parker. I think Frank Castle will be, the Punisher, I think will be more of a like Act 2 to 3 character. I don't think he's going to be an Act 1 character. And I'd be very interested, like, there's so many parts here, right? Just with all these panels alone, let's say all of these are included in the movie. There's so much going on here. How do you distribute the time equally or as good as you can to get all this to work? Like I said, with Tarantula and Boomerang, it's relatively simple. At the beginning of the movie, Spider-Man beats them, no problem. But with the rest, it's like, well, what do you do? And, like I said, this being a ground level Spider-Man movie makes me so happy and over the moon in and of itself. a ground level Spider-Man film. But now the question is, how is all this going to play together? Now, granted, we're not going to get any real big behind the scenes stuff for this film probably till around December. We'll probably get a trailer, like the first trailer. So if we talk about Thunderbolts, right? So hold on. Let me go to YouTube for a second. If we talk about, let's say, a movie like Thunderbolts, let's just see when the first trailer was for Thunderbolts. Okay. So, the Thunderbolts teaser trailer came out 10 months ago. So, we're in July. So, let's see. June, May, April, March, February, January, December, November. October. Okay, so September. So, we probably won't get a teaser for this movie, for my guess, probably till fall of this year. And when I say a teaser, I don't even mean like a big teaser trailer. I don't think we'll get that for Spider-Man 4. Like I said, there's so much moving parts here. I mean, we might. I think we're more likely to get a trailer closer towards December. So let's say fall time is like between September to early November. I think we'll get a trailer probably mid-November. That's my guess. I don't think they're going to wait till December. I think it's going to be more mid-November. But I think we'll definitely get like poster art, concept art. Like we'll start to get more official things like that in that kind of time period. I think that that's what will happen. And then, of course, once we're within that 6-month threshold, so around February to March period, that's when the advertising for the movie will start to ramp up. Like that's when you'll get like another trailer, like the official trailer. So that's how I think the time frame of that will relatively be. And you got to remember, like I said, Spider-Man, Avengers, Doomsday. Those are the 2 Marvel movies next year. Not talking about the Disney Plus shows like Daredevil and stuff that we're going to be getting. And the Punisher special is supposed to lead directly into Spider-Man. Brand New Day. So, now, like I said, we kind of just sit and wait. We kind of just sit and wait and see how this plays out. This is my most anticipated movie of next year. Yes, even over Avengers Doomsday, and let me explain why. Number 1, Spider-Man, my favorite character. Very biased on that. But number 2, we're finally going to get a good ground level Spider-Man movie with what looks to be everything you could possibly ask for. The problem with Doomsday, for me, is we haven't built up Doom like Thanos. And Thanos was in every post-credit scene for Avengers films leading up to Avengers Infinity War. He was even in Guardians of the Galaxy. There was talk of Thanos, the Infinity Stones. Every phase in Marvel and Marvel Project movie had a lead up, okay, to Avengers Infinity War, right? With every Infinity Stone that there were, that was moving towards it, right? The events of Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War, right? Winter Soldier giving Captain America these certain perspectives, right, on not trusting the government, big organizations, etc., because of the Hydra takeover, and then how that leads into Steve Rogers' stance in Civil War compared to Tony's and the journey that he's been on in his movies, right? All the projects had a lead up to Infinity War where the Avengers are separated and split, the stones are in these locations, and Thanos is going there, right? There is a build up to Thanos. Every movie had a purpose. The problem with Doomsday is there isn't. There's one film that has actually led to Doomsday, and that's Fantastic Four. And that's not even in the main MCU canon. There is nothing in the MCU that has led to Doomsday. Period. At this moment. Nothing in the main canon MCU outside of Fantastic Four. And for me, that's a problem. Now, what it seems like they're doing, yet again, poster boarding, comic book covers, etc. It seems like Doctor Doom in Doomsday is going to be a Tony Stark variant, where Victor Von Doom transferred his consciousness into a Tony Stark and is basically controlling him, right? And there's also a teaser that Robert Downey Jr. made that Iron Man is going to fight Doctor Doom in the movie. So, basically, for those of you that are Spider-Man fans, think about Superior Spider-Man. And for those of you that are not Spider-Man fans, basically in the comics, Dr. Octopus was on his deathbed, basically, like his body was suffering this disease, and he transferred his mind and consciousness into Peter's body, and Peter's consciousness into his body. So Peter ended up dying with his body, and he took over Peter's body as Superior Spider-Man. Basically, that's what's happening here with Doctor Doom by the seams of it, right? And, you know, I haven't seen Fantastic Four. I will be seeing it this Friday, so, you know, probably do a quick movie review or post something on X about it. But ultimately, I have to say, there just isn't that much hype for me in Doomsday. Like, it's going to take them a really good trailer to get me on board for that movie in a way that I was on board for Infinity War. And you gotta think, and it's kind of crazy, that Infinity War and Endgame, Endgame ended off in 2019, right? And we're gonna get Secret Wars in 2027, I think. So, it's going to be almost 10 years. Almost 10 years when we get the conclusion of the Multiverse Saga. The problem is with the Multiverse Saga, nothing leads to Doom. Every project just feels like bloated crap. It feels like filler. Like if you're playing a video game and they're doing fetch quests all the time, it's basically like that but in movie form. There are very few movies that I think had any impact on the multiverse. Especially with Kang, they were building to Kang. You had Quantumania. You had, Loki, you had building moving parts to Kang. Even Deadpool and Wolverine to a degree. And then you just did nothing. And then the bangle, right? From the Marvels, right? Oh, we got the bangles and then Shang-Chi and the 10 rings. Okay, they're sending signals to somewhere. That was leading to Kang. What happens with that now? We're just not going to acknowledge those artifacts anymore? When it comes to Kang, probably not. So, there's a lot. Okay? There's a lot here. And the MCU, for me, has been so underwhelming since Endgame. There are a few good projects. Daredevil Born Again, while it was underwhelming for me, I still really enjoyed it. And I'm glad Daredevil's back. Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm hoping it's going to be another one of those projects. No Way Home was a fun time. Deadpool and Wolverine, a fun time. And Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was such a good movie. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I would put Thunderbolts up there probably in my top 5 or top 10 Marvel movies, for sure. Because Winter Soldier's my favorite, right? Civil War, pretty close second. Of course, you have Infinity War, Endgame. Probably would put Thunderbolts right beneath Endgame. I love Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was a good movie. I know to some people it's just kind of a meh movie, but I really enjoyed it. It makes me feel like I rewatched that movie today because it came out on Blu-ray the other day, and bro, it made me feel something, and that's when you know you have a good movie, when it makes you like invokes emotional feelings out of you. So yeah, I really enjoyed the film. I thought that it was very well done. But that film didn't lead to Doomsday. The only thing in Thunderbolts that led to Doomsday is the post-credit scene. Now, I know what someone's going to say. Well, that's basically what happened with Thanos. Yes. But here's the problem. We're basically in a Infinity War 2.0. But in the, like, most contrived way possible. So, let's take a step back to the Infinity Saga, right? You had Tony Stark and Captain America separated in Infinity War because of the events of the Iron Man movies, giving Tony his perspective, and what happened in Winter Soldier and Civil War. Winter Soldier is what determined Captain America's mind, or Steve Rogers' mind, to not trust in the government, which led to Civil War. Civil War is where the Avengers officially broke up. And then come Infinity War, right? Because of those decisions that were made in in Iron Man's solo films and Captain America's solo films that led to that split. That's where Infinity War, that split meant something. We're in that same predicament now. You have Sam Wilson's team of Avengers and the new Avengers, aka the Thunderbolts. And they're split, I guess they're not on good terms. Like, at the end of the Thunderbolts, you get the, Bucky being like, yeah, I had a conversation with Sam, it went poorly. Basically, like, we're gonna exposition that we're in a Civil War 2.0, where we're split, there's two separate Avenger teams, and we got a big threat coming. But it's not set up properly. That split up didn't happen in a film, or even a TV show. It was just a line of dialogue in a post-credit scene of a really good movie that really, outside of being a good solo-contained story, did not have anything to do with Doctor Doom coming, outside of the post-credit scene. And even at the end of Fantastic Four, when we see Doctor Doom, it kind of makes us theorize how that ship got into the main 616 universe, but we don't know until Doomsday comes out. So yeah, I would even say No Way Home doesn't even really lead to Doomsday. Like, yeah, it deals with multiverse, but it doesn't lead to Doomsday. And I'm glad that Spider-Man's ground level. We need more ground level Marvel stuff. I hate the cosmic, over grandiose stuff. I've never been a fan of it in the comics. It's cool when you have like a Secret Wars type event, but when it just is something else, I don't want it. King in Black or doing Null, that would be great. I'd love that. Hopefully someday, somehow, we can get a symbiote saga. That would be dope. But yeah, that is ultimately my thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day and the little bit of Doomsday. I think when it comes to Doomsday, obviously we're going to need to get into next year. Because for Doomsday, they're not going to start dropping teasers and stuff like that until like June, July. Because the movie don't come out till December. But for Spider-Man, it'll be more towards the end of this year, early next year. So, yeah. And then, of course, Daredevil Season 2. At least for me, I'm really pumped about that. But, yeah. There's a lot coming, being built. And it's good. It's good excitement. I think for once, I'm looking at a year of Marvel projects, and I'm like, bro, I'm going to be eating good next year. I got Daredevil Season 2, I got Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I got Avengers Doomsday. I got 3 big films to be excited about next year. But, with that being said, there is, I think, one project, Marvel Zombies, that I'm excited for this year. I mean, I still got movies I'm excited for. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 looks great. New trailer dropped. Awesome. Predator Badlands looks better and better every day. Yeah. There's a lot that, like, I've been to the movies more times this year than I have in prior years. How many movies have I seen so far in theaters? I've seen Thunderbolts, Superman, Captain America, will be Fantastic Four, will be Five Nights at Freddy's, and Predator Badlands. So I'll probably have seen 6 movies in the theater this year by the end of the year. Next year, 2 for sure. Don't know about that. It might be a lighter year for me going to the cinema next year, unless like some bangers just come out of nowhere. But yeah, that's my thoughts on everything. That's really all I had to share with you guys. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. This podcast isn't going to have any background music. So if you notice there's no background music, I'm recording this at like midnight, so I'm not putting any background music in, and it seems to take away from me conversating. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next one.